My name is Tracy Lyman. I am a lecturer at Binghamton University. I have a elementary and special education certification in New York State, and I'm part of our New York State pyramid model, what used to be called the Master Cadre, but our trainers and coaches across the state.
Great. Thank you so much for talking with us today. I wanted to talk a little bit about using the pyramid model to create community in the classroom.
Mhm.
So how does that work?
Yeah, I think thinking about sometimes it's a shift in understanding that behavior often is a form of communication. So, sometimes we may get frustrated or overwhelmed when we have children who are demonstrating what we might consider to be challenging behavior, right? So they may be angry or, frustrated and throwing things, or continually maybe what we see as acting out, right? And it's typically giving adults a hard time, maybe other children as well. Um, and it often can feel overwhelming as somebody who's in that setting, right? And you might feel like you're putting out fires all the time. So we really want to think about being responsive as trying to be proactive. So once we start to understand that behavior is a form of communication, we start to think about, well, what is it trying to communicate? What's the function? And then that gives us something we can do. We can teach the skills. If a child's using their behavior, maybe biting or taking toys from other kids because they want that toy, well, we can work on maybe they're delayed in their language skills, or maybe they don't know how to approach their peer and use their words. Well, then that's the skill we can practice, and that's the skill we can focus on throughout the day, right? Lots of opportunities. So using this as kind of a guide to think about, it gives us more of a, instead of feeling like there's nothing we can do, the action to continuing to think about what we can teach. So that's a big focus of that proactive, trying to make those behaviors less likely to occur.
Wonderful. When uh, how does the pyramid model help us think about classroom design, schedules, and routines?
Well, that is pretty much like the biggest piece, right, of early childhood classroom settings or environments at all, is thinking about how is the environment designed. So some of our training really does help those in the field reflect upon what their schedule is like, how much of their schedule is adult directed versus child directed, small group versus large group, right, active versus more passive. So we really spend some time focusing in on that and trying to find a nice balance. We use, again, the visuals with visual schedules, which are just really key for all children, but some children in particular really need that, right? So we might have a whole class visual schedule. That's usually one of those necessities in an early childhood setting, but we also might make an individualized schedule for a child who might be having a more difficult time with a transition or a part of the day. So we try to spend a good amount of time thinking about just that daily activity and what that can look like, helping those transition times. Sometimes we have down times between, going to inside to outside for the playground or waiting for food, lunchtime. That is often a time when those behaviors might pop up because it's a little bit of, kids don't know what to do. So we can help through those transitions and focus on transition cues between like songs or lights or activities that we can use while we're transitioning. So those are all other pieces that we try to focus on throughout the day. And then thinking about the physical environment, sometimes there's things we can't change, right? How bright it is or where the windows are, but we can think about, is our classroom setting a big open space? And if a child walks into a room that's a big open space, sometimes the first thing they think of is run, right? So it looks like a gym. So we want to try to think about, how do we design the furniture space that we do have in areas, right? So whether there's a dramatic play area or a block building area, and thinking about, do I want that block building, which might be more active and, vocal, next to the books where somebody might be going to try to be quiet and have a calm moment. So we, might really use that to think about what's going to be the most effective classroom design to be supportive of all children.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. This is terrific.
Good, I'm glad.